Rock and metal invasion! Rock and metal invasion! Rock and metal invasion! Rock and metal invasion!
Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, we are counting down the top 50 albums, the Canadian top 50 albums from the Canadian charts from December 1995. And I've got Tim from Tim's Vinyl Confessions to help me do it. How you going, Tim?
Good, Steve. This is a lot of fun, and this is, of course, a counterpart episode to an episode that's airing on my channel where we counted down the top 50 albums in this same date from the New Zealand chart. So, yeah, this is from the RPM magazine, which is sort of Canada's Billboard, and we're going to find some similarities, but there are going to be some different ones. So, yeah, this should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, should be good. Yeah, so 1995 is an interesting year because, yeah, it's things aren't going so good for metal or even hard rock during this time. But there's a little bit on here on the charts, and it's interesting looking back at what was coming out at that time. So, do you want to start us off, Tim, with number 50?
Yeah, so number 50, dropping down from 44. This is called Euro Mix Volume 2. It's a various artist CD. A lot of dance music was popular, like moving from, I would say, the clubs onto the radio and into mainstream. So yeah, you're going to see a little bit of that.
Okay, and then at number 49, someone I'm not that familiar with, Lorena McKennitt, Winter Garden. New entry.
Yeah, she's a Canadian artist. She's actually from Nova Scotia, which is the next province over from New Brunswick, which is where I live, and kind of singer-songwriter, folk.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
she had a big radio hit here called "The Mummers Dance," which that's not in the song anywhere, but yeah, she was very successful for quite a while here in Canada, and kind of an independent artist for I think a lot of her career. I don't know much about her. I just know that she's from Nova Scotia.
Yeah, yeah.
Number 48, down 10 spots. Singer-songwriter John Hyatt and his album Walk On. He's a guy that had been in the business for since the early 70s, and he put out a ton of albums. He was on a lot of different labels, and he really started to get a foothold when other artists started recording his songs. Like Bonnie Raitt recorded a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
Big hit here in Canada was the blues guitarist Jeff Healey had a big hit with his song Angel Eyes, and so yeah, so he I guess had a little bit of a resurgence in his own career. I don't know anything from this album. This week's at 48.
And then at number 47, we've got the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. So we actually talked about that when we were doing the New Zealand chart. In fact, it may have almost been in exactly the same position. I think
It's
it was
pretty close, yeah.
pretty
If
much
it's
around
not,
this.
yeah, same spot or same
Yeah,
rough
yeah.
rough.
So, but yeah, it was a big movie at the time.
Number 46, here we are again. This week's down from 29, but Dance Machine First Gear, another various artist CD. And I mean, we talked about, used CD stores and stuff. You could go now and see all kinds of these mixed CDs, and they're everywhere, and you might even see this exact one.
Yeah. Number 45, Canadian artist Tom Cochrane. Now this is uh,
The
Ra-
Ragged Ass Road, that's what
Ragged,
it's called.
Ragged
Yeah.
Ass Road.
Now
Yeah.
that's actually I think that was a real road, but I always thought what a terrible idea for an album cover because or for an album title. But, hey, he did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here in New Zealand, Life is a Highway was massive, but that's
Yeah.
not from this album, is it? That's earlier. So,
No. So he was coming off a really big album, Mad
mm,
Mad World, that had that
yeah,
song. But yeah, this did well in Canada, but that was kind of it for his worldwide
right.
success. Number 44, new, the much maligned R. Kelly with the self-titled album. Enough said.
Yeah, enough said. Let's not
Yeah.
get into that.
Yeah.
Number 43, the Rankin family and Endless Seasons. Don't know much about this one at all, but
This yeah,
13 weeks
I
on the
didn't
charts.
I didn't figure you would. This is another Nova Scotia act. This is a family group that they're from Nova Scotia, next province over. They're huge in Canada. It's
Mm,
Celtic. Not my style, but they sold a ton of albums here in Canada. And some of the members went solo. I don't know if they record together as a family anymore or not, but yeah, they were pretty big. Here in Canada, you say the Rankins, everybody knows who you mean.
Right.
And why am I getting all the dance?
Yeah, I'm pleased
At
you are,
number
Tim. I'm
40,
pleased it's you.
number 42 this week, brand new. Electric Circus Old School, various artists. Now, Electric Circus refers to a show that used to be on Much Music, which was Canada's like MTV, and it was all dance music. It has nothing to do whatsoever with Wasp. So just because you hear Electric Circus, it's not like inside the Electric Circus. So yeah, it's all.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, this this week at 42 is it's brand new this week.
All right, number 41, 11 weeks on the chart. Red Hot Chili Peppers, One Hot Minute. So this is the one where Dave Navarro's come in,
Yeah.
and it wasn't as big as their previous album, and but produced by Rick Rubin, I think, and I think they were just going for the same thing again, but different guitarist. Didn't quite have the hit songs on that one. So yeah,
Yeah, the only song I can think of from this one is Aeroplane, and it wasn't that big a
yeah,
hit. So,
yeah.
uh, yeah. At number 40, down from 33, this was a huge album, had a lot of staying power on the charts. Live and Throwing Copper this week, it's dropped from 33 to 40, but it had been so, yeah, on the charts for 38 weeks. So, a lot of staying power.
Yeah. Michael Bolton in at 39. This is his greatest hits. They're not his greatest songs as far as I'm concerned, but it's 85 to 95. And that is when he had all the hits, really. I guess from The Hunger, that was probably the first album when he had that
Yeah,
Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. That was a bit of a hit.
yeah.
There's one song on there, Gina, which is kind of hard rock sort of sounding. Otherwise, that album and then everything's after that,
Like
not.
the last gasp of any hard
Yeah, he's
rock
got a little
in
bit of
his
hard rock
music.
in there, but then
Yeah,
he's just like, I mean, I guess, he works with Desmond Child on a few songs, and how can we be lovers if we can't be friends? I don't mind that one too much, but
yeah.
yeah, there's not a lot there for
Yeah.
me.
As he had so many ballads too. That's
Yeah,
interesting you bring that up because I watched a little something I think on YouTube about Desmond Child and he mentioned that some because a lot of his songs will have like contradictions in the title.
yeah,
Like You
yeah,
Give Love a Bad
yeah, yeah,
Name.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I get thinking about that. I'm like, they do Heaven's on Fire. Like I got thinking about that. Like, yeah, they do. They do, your love is like venomous poison or you know what I mean? Like he kind of made a career out of that.
yeah,
Um, I mean, Michael Bolton also worked with, I think around this period with Mutt Lange. And,
yeah,
there's songs that you could totally hear, like, with a little bit of different instrumentation. It could either be Bryan Adams or Def Leppard. So,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, and if people don't know, I mean, Michael Bolton had been around since the 70s, but the first two albums he did under the name Michael Bolton, it's like commercial hard rock. I mean,
yeah,
I think he had Bruce Kulick
yeah,
uh, in his band, and but to they weren't hits, so
no,
he had to do something. So
yeah,
at number 38, this was an album we talked about on the New Zealand chart. The Dog Pound with the album Dog Food. This week it's down 30 to 38, and I just simply have no idea who this is.
yeah. Yeah, I think but it's not Snoop Dogg, so it's
No, but it might be related. I can't
might
help
be.
but think the fact that it's got two G's has something to do with that, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. 37, you've got Simply Red and Life. One band I really can't get into, Simply Red, but
Yeah.
they're popular, definitely. And
I
when I
didn't, I
think
don't,
Simply Red, I just think of what's the guy, Mick Hucknall, is that his name?
Mick Hucknall, yeah, with
Yeah.
the red hair,
That's
yeah.
really Simply Red, isn't it? It's not really a band, I don't think.
No, I think it started out as one, but
Yeah.
after a while, it's just him and
Yeah.
some background musicians.
Yeah.
Number 36, so we're getting into some more familiar territory with
Yeah.
AC/DC Ball Breaker, 9 weeks in the chart, and this week it's dropping from 27 to 36. This was actually produced. It's the one album that was produced by Rick Rubin, but I mean, you can't really tell album to album much difference. It's AC/DC, so.
Yeah. Number 35, Ashley McIsaac. Hi, how are you today? Is this something you can tell me about, Tim? Because I know nothing.
I certainly can. I don't know what it is. All the Canadian so many Canadian artists are from Nova Scotia. This guy was from a place that I actually very briefly lived in called Cape Breton, and where Celtic music is everything. I mean, it was so big, and he was very, very popular. He's a fiddle player and very eclectic. And this was a big, big album for him. And it's a big jump, 61 to 35. I think this was his biggest album. But yeah, for a couple of years, I mean, he was a household name here in Canada. And so yeah, it's funny. I've listed three artists that are all from like, a province that's like driving distance from where I live, which is kind of weird. Number 34, much more in my wheelhouse. Big jump this week up from 51, Queen and their posthumous album Made in Heaven. So you've got the statue of Freddie Mercury in Montreux, Switzerland on the front cover, and then if you turn it around, you've got the three surviving members on the back. These, of course, are some of Freddie Mercury's last recordings before he died. He would record like three tracks of vocals and say, "Do whatever you want with these," type of thing. Like right after they finished the album Innuendo, which came out in early '91, he kept recording because he knew he didn't have a lot of time left.
Yeah, yeah. Number 33, Katie Lang and All You Can Eat. So that came up on the New Zealand chart. I won't give a spoiler, but I will say that it is much higher on the New Zealand chart, but still doing pretty well, 33.
Yeah, I'm not sure what came off of this album. Obviously, she was a huge Canadian artist, and but this album, yeah, it's on the way down now, but it may have been out for a little bit longer in Canada.
Mhm.
Not sure. At number 32, we have Lisa Loeb with Tales. Lisa Loeb had a big hit the previous year with the song Stay from, I want to say Reality Bites. It was from a movie
Yeah.
anyway. And this is the follow-up. I don't think it did quite as well. This week it's down 25 to 32.
Number 31, you've got Genius, GZA. That might not be how you say it. And Liquid Swords. All I know is they're from the Wu-Tang Clan, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
that's
pretty
more than I.
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
Wu-Tang. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Geffen. I say, well, it's a big release if it's on Geffen. Yeah, I didn't know. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure that in the 90s at one point, didn't Geezer Butler have a band that he called GZR?
Yes,
Yeah,
true.
for a short time. And I was like, I don't think this is that. At number 30, I'd be surprised if you heard of these guys, but I suppose it's possible. Blue Rodeo. They were a big, big band here. They still are. And their album Nowhere to Hear. This week it drops from 24 to 30. I guess you could call them country rock.
Yeah.
Like they're very acoustic based, but they're a huge band in Canada. And they can tour and and people will come out to see them. Now, myself, it's not really my style of music, but it's, there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, big band, never really broke anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I never really heard them down here. 29, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Greatest Hits. It's actually new, so first week in the chart.
This is interesting too, because one major difference I noticed with the New Zealand chart, there's didn't see any country. And of
Yeah,
course, new country was the big thing in North America. So we've got Alan Jackson with his greatest hits, probably the first of many greatest hits albums. This week it's down from 14 to 28.
and at 27, Ace of Base, The Bridge. Yeah, so I mean it's only been on the charts for 2 weeks, but there's a big hit I think on this, isn't there? Is this the one that has the big hit song on it? I don't know
Well,
what
they
it is.
had they had the Sign the year before that album, and it had like three or four hits off it.
Yeah,
Um, it's evading me what would have been on this album. I mean, I had only just stopped working in radio for about 13 years at this point, but I was still kind of had an ear to the ground.
yeah,
But I can't recall what was on this album. At
no.
number 26, we have a soundtrack, Dangerous Minds, Michelle Pfeiffer movie. Pretty sure this had Coolio's Gangster's Paradise on it. And this week, this soundtrack drops from 19 down to 26.
And at 25, you've got Green Day and Insomniac. Yeah, 7 weeks on the chart. But the previous album being a big hit, so it's probably a bit of this one not doing quite so good for them. But yeah, that happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about that because some bands, once they have a sales slump, they never come out of it.
Yeah,
But
true.
Green Day did.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So at number 24, another soundtrack, Waiting to Exhale. I think that this was mostly Whitney Houston, but I could be wrong. I know she was in this movie.
yeah.
So that's new this week at 24.
All right. Oh, I'm pleased I got Ozzy Osbourne. So number 23, Ozzy Osbourne and Osmosis. So 5 weeks on the chart, 16 the previous week. I like this album. Some people don't like it quite so much, but I think it's a good album. Some good songs on there. And it's just nice to have someone like Ozzy putting out albums in the mid 90s where there wasn't a lot of this type of music coming out. So
Yeah,
he didn't go grunge or anything. It was, it's an Ozzy
no,
album.
it wasn't all that different from No More
No,
Tears, from what I recall. It was
no.
kind of a continuing, but he had a lot of good had a lot of good co-writers on this album. Like Steve Vai co-wrote a song, Jack Blades,
Yeah, he
Jim
did.
Valance. So yeah, and he still had Zach Wilde in his band. So I remember Perry Mason getting a little bit of airplay.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Uh, Speaking of Mutt Lange, number 22, this seemed to come out of nowhere. Shania Twain, her album The Woman in Me. This was actually her second album. She put out an album in 93 that did very little. I'm pretty sure it probably sold more because of what came after it, but she met Mutt Lange. They eventually married, and she became like the biggest thing in not just country music, but music. But it was using that all of the Mutt Lange Def Leppard tricks in a lot of the songs, and whatever it was, it just clicked with people. And this album sold like 10 million copies or whatever.
Yeah.
So this week it had been out for it had been on the charts for 37 weeks at this point. So this week it drops from 21 to 22.
Yeah, 21, you've got Don Henley from the Eagles, Actual Miles. Yeah, so first week on the charts. So yeah.
You can't really tell from the title, but this was a best of. This had
Oh,
all
okay,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
all
That's
of his
right.
solo song
I remember it
had like
now. Yeah,
yeah, Dirty Laundry and Boys of
yeah.
Summer and all that. Yeah. Number 20, down from 10, Cypress Hill 3 Temple of Boom. I don't know anything from this album. And oh, look, I think that finally Steve gets to talk about one of these dance music albums.
Oh, is that right? Oh, because I was going to
Yeah,
say, who the heck is Chris Shepherd? But
he's a
yeah,
DJ.
yeah, number 19. So it's some DJ, Pirate Radio Sessions Volume 4. Yeah, I didn't look at this up or anything. So yeah, I can't tell you too much.
There's not much to say. It's dance music.
Right.
Number 18, down three. We talked about this on the New Zealand episode. Passengers, original soundtrack. This is essentially Brian Eno and U2. They just didn't, and I don't know. I don't think there's any vocal tracks on here, but it's kind of like an instrumental U2 album because I think they've worked with Brian Eno a lot anyway. So that's
Yeah.
at 18 this week.
Number 17, you've got Coolio and Gangsta's Paradise. And yeah, this is probably his big album. And the song that was big, well, Gangsta's Paradise was the big song. And that's from the Dangerous Mind soundtrack that came up earlier on the charts. Yeah.
Yeah. At number 16, it was one of the biggest television shows of the 90s, and it was so big it had a soundtrack. So the Friends original soundtrack is at number 16. That had like Hootie and the Blowfish and Bare Naked Ladies, and I can't remember who all was on that. I remember that's one that you see a lot used
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. What are we up to? Number 15, Bruce Springsteen, The Ghost of Tom Joad. Yeah, so I'm not familiar with that album, but I know the song because some
Yeah.
other artists I like have covered it actually, that song, Ghost of Tom Joad. But yeah, debuted at 15.
Yeah, I don't know if this album went on to be a huge success for him, but I know it's one of his most critically acclaimed albums, and people said it was like a return to form or whatever. I think it's primarily acoustic, but I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
up on my Springsteen.
Yeah.
Number 14, up three, Meatloaf and Welcome to the Neighborhood. This was his follow-up to Bat Out of Hell 2. So if it's got Bat Out of Hell attached to it, it probably has a better chance of making it. This album did okay. I remember seeing it out there. And he did have a minor hit single off of this with a song called, I think it was called I'd Lie for You and That's the Truth, kind of a power ballad, one of his like over-the-top long song
Yeah.
titles. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And he did do Bad Out of Hell number 3 as well. But
I,
and I think Nikki Sixx did a songwriting credit on it, had a songwriting credit on it.
I think Justin Hawkins from The
Yeah.
Darkness is,
Yeah.
has is on it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple okay songs. I checked it out because of that,
Yeah.
but yeah, never really got into them. Number 13, it's Alice in Chains, self-titled. Their third album,
Third
their
full length.
last
Yeah.
with Lane on vocals. I actually saw that at a record shop on vinyl. not that long ago. It's super rare to get on vinyl. It was like massive money. I'm not that big a
Yeah.
fan, but yeah,
Yeah, for those that are curious, this is the one with the three-legged
yeah,
dog on the cover. This
yeah.
is that 90s time period where a lot of times it was like no text on the cover. Uh, at number 12, he was a country artist and one of the biggest artists in the world at the time, Garth Brooks, and his album Fresh Horses. This week it huge jump, 39 up to 12. Now
Mm.
I always admired Garth because he did like his rock and roll music. He did a great cover of Hard Luck Woman on the Kiss My Ass album, and actually on this album here, Fresh Horses, it's slightly rewritten lyrically, but he has a song called The Fever, which is essentially the song Fever from Aerosmith's Get a Grip. So
Oh, right.
I think he's a rocker at heart.
Didn't he do an album too where it might be called Chris Gaines or something like that, where
Yes,
he changes his look
he did an
completely or something?
entire he did an entire, yeah, 1999. It was quite ridiculed. It was called The Life and Times of Chris Gaines, and it was a fictional rock star, and it was supposed to be the best of, like, summing up the
Oh, yeah.
decade. And it was an experiment. But I think that was like the album that he was involved in that showed up the most in like used CD stores. But and yeah, he even went on Saturday Night Live in that character. Like it was quite
Mm,
something.
that's pretty fun idea, but
Yeah, yeah,
um,
it's a neat idea. But yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah. All right, number 11, you got Janet Jackson, Design of a Decade. So I'm assuming this is a best
yeah,
of. I
yeah.
like Black Cat. That's a good song.
Oh, Nuno on guitar.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's a rocking song anyway.
yeah,
Wait a minute, is it Nuno on that or is it Vernon Reid from Living Color? It's a rock guitarist anyway playing the solo.
yeah. I don't know.
It might be like the single mix is different, but I think both of those guys played on at least one of her songs, like one of her more
Yeah, or
rocking
even
songs.
maybe just playing it live in concert or something like that, or special
Could
appearance or
be.
something like that. Yeah,
And you know, I remember thinking when that happened, well, she's following in the footsteps of Michael having Eddie play on Beat It.
yeah,
So,
that's exactly right. Yeah.
uh, at number 10, big jump, 18 from up to 10 with Melissa Etheridge and her album Your Little Secret.
Yep, and then we got at number nine an album that was massive, but it's their big album, Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Rear View.
Yeah. 43 weeks in the chart.
Yeah,
Uh, at number 8, this is an album I had to borrow from my daughter because I was definitely not a fan of this band. Uh, it's down three notches. The Smashing Pumpkins. This was a double album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. It came in one of those old double CD cases, which are kind of neat now. They're kind of quaint because a lot of times they get replaced with the slim ones. So this week it's down from 5 to 8.
yeah, and I had that CD back in the day. It was exactly like that with the double CD.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if that cost more money because it was a two CD or if it was because I definitely probably brought it as a new release or something. I can't remember, but yeah, I
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
You know, when it came out, it was probably on sale, but yeah, hard to
Mm.
tell. It was rare for a band to do that
Yeah, it was rare.
with all new material.
Yeah, and they were popular. Their previous album had made them sort of popular, but they weren't a massive band at that point.
I
So
think this was the one
that
that
was the
kind
one
of
that
did
really
it.
broke them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, number seven, it's Def Leppard and Volt. So yeah, all their best of, and that was just before Slain came out. I'm assuming, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Number 6, Mariah Carey with her album Daydream. That's holding this week, 10th week in the chart.
All right, now I've got the dance music now. So number five, and it's must be popular. Yeah, must be popular this one because this is at number five. It's Much Music. I guess Much Music are probably plugging it quite a bit. Dance Mix 95, various artists.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, the MTV logo would be on the Unplugged albums, and it
Yeah,
was sort of like they had a hand in it. And a few years after that, I'm not sure when it started. It wasn't too long after this. Much Music had a series of albums called Big Shiny Tunes, which was like popular songs, and there were I don't know how many volumes of those, and those all sold quite well.
Mm.
Number four, this is one that my wife owns. She doesn't listen to CDs much now, but this is Madonna with her album Something to Remember. It's not an album so much, it's a compilation of her slower songs, her like ballads or slow jams, I guess. And I think it had a couple of new songs on it, but this week it's holding at number four.
All right, so quite a lot of greatest hits or sort of best of, or well, this is not a greatest hits, I suppose, but it's number three. It's the Rolling Stones and Stripped, which we're thinking is just acoustic. They're kind of best of or a collection of their songs done acoustically. It's at number three,
Yeah.
but it had been at number one.
Yeah. I know that one thing that they put out from this was a version of Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone, which I'm pretty sure is where they got their name from. So
Oh yeah,
I could be wrong about that, but I'm not, but I do know that they covered the Dylan song at this time.
yeah.
Number two, 20 weeks in the chart. I mean, not only was this a huge album in Canada, but it was a huge album everywhere. Alanis Morissette and Jagged Little Pill. A lot of people thought this was her first album. It was actually technically her third because she
Mm,
released two albums of more pop dance type music under the name just simply Alanis here in Canada on MCA Records that did well in Canada, but they weren't available anywhere else. So I can still remember I was working in radio when we had a sampler disc coming from Warner and You Ought to Know was on it. And so I knew that was her last name. I'm like, oh, Alanis is back. And so I listened to it.
mm,
I'm like, this is really different than what she
mm,
did before. So yeah,
mm.
it went on to become a huge album.
Yeah, she hooked up with that guy. I think it's Glenn Ballard. It might
Glenn
be.
Ballard, yeah,
Yeah, he was the
wrote a ton of
songwriter with
songs.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had, I mean, Flea and Dave Navarro, I think, played on a lot of the tracks. And at a certain point, I don't think I'm not 100% sure, but on tour anyway, she got Taylor Hawkins as her drummer.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, it was a rock
Yeah.
backing band for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. All right, number one, a band that needs no introduction. It's actually the Beatles and Anthology. 30, what does it say?
Big
32.
jump,
Yeah,
32
32
up to
last week. I
number
was like,
one. Yeah.
what? Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
big jump.
so this was the one that had the song "Free as a Bird," and there was also "Real Love," which were songs with older vocals from John Lennon that the three remaining members put together and created songs out of them. I think Jeff Lynne produced. So yeah, it was pretty anticipated. So there you go, folks. Well, Steve, sorry, it's your show. It was my Canadian chart, but here I'm
Yeah,
so used to
yeah.
hosting these.
I'll do
But
the
yeah,
wrap up. Thanks, Tim. I've got it from
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, all good. Yeah, so there we go. So that's our top 50 for in Canada in December for 1995. So what is that? Yeah, we're going back, 30
30
years.
years.
Yeah, doesn't
Crazy.
seem like
Yeah,
30 years, but there we go. Time flies.
yeah.
And hope you enjoyed that. I'm interested to know if you're watching Rock and Metal Invasion. What was 1995 like for you for music? What were you listening to? Were you listening to some of these bands? Were you listening to some of these albums? As I sort of said, hard rock and metal, probably not the best time for them. Grunge had come in, but even grunge is starting to die down a little bit. And so it's just interesting to see what was popular, and I'd be interested to know what you were listening to.
Yeah, definitely. I
Actually,
mean, if you notice any of the bands, from our era that are still in the chart now, it's Def Leppard,
yeah,
AC/DC, Ozzy. I mean, they were superstars, right? You're
yeah.
not seeing Cinderella and Warrant and
I know.
yeah.
Now, dark days for bands like those, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
they came back. They did come back, but mainly more in a touring sort of sense. Able to
Yeah.
tour and do things like that. So, but anyway, make sure you check out Tim's channel, Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Always doing great content, and of course, you can see the other part to this, the same time period, but the New Zealand chart on his channel. All right, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't yet done that, and we'll catch you later. All right, see ya.